In this video, I'll demonstrate how to utilize RCommander to generate statistical summaries and graphical data summaries. All application will be performed within RCommander. In subsequent videos, I might discuss how to perform some of these tasks within R without the utilization of RCommander. However, as it pertains to this video, only RCommander will be utilized, and as always, code is available within the description. So let's begin. So if you haven't watched any of the videos in the Introduction to Statistics playlist, I recommend you maybe watch a few of them when you have the chance, as it might make some of what we're about to discuss clear. But in any case, if you have R and RCommander already on your computer, remember that you need to either go to the Packages tab within the lower right-hand portion of the RStudio user interface, scroll down to RCMDR, and then click to the left to initiate RCommander, or you can run this bit of code here to perform a similar function. Once you do either the clicking of this box here or running this code here, you should have RCommander displayed in front of you. And if you don't see it, it might still be on your taskbar down here. So you could just look to see if you have this icon and then give that a click to toggle RCommander. You'll need to import the example data that we're using for this particular bit of exercises, example exercises. And to do that, if you haven't already watched the video as to how to import data, what you'll have to do is go to File, then Data, Import Data from Excel file. And then you'll need to choose the name of the data set, or which you'd like to refer to the data set as once it is imported into RCommander. So if you're unfamiliar as to how to perform these steps, go ahead and watch the video related to such in the playlist, Introduction to Statistics. You can find it in this channel right here. And also what might be helpful, since we're going to be going through some of the various displays, graphical display functions in RCommander, you might want to also check out video 6 in the Introduction to Statistics playlist, which is Introduction to Test Specificity, Histogram, Odds Ratio, and Contingency Tables. A contingency table is probably being the most important of the topics because we'll be doing quite a few contingency table examples in this example slide presentation. So go ahead and get that taken care of, get the data imported, and you'll be good to go. And also the data resembles this here. This is what we'll be working with. And you can find the CSVs in the video description. All right. So we'll start with how to create a frequency table in RCommander. Once the data set is imported, and we've named our data set A, you're going to want to go to, within the RCommander interface, Statistics, Summaries, Frequency Distribution. And you have to pick the variable that you'd like to have displayed, which you'd like to create a frequency table for. So we've chosen variable G for our example. We're not going to do a chi-square goodness of fit test, so you can just leave this blank. We might cover this in later videos. But in any case, just pick the variables which you're interested in. I've only chosen variable G. Once that's been selected, go ahead and click OK. And what you'll have displayed here is both the count, so this is the frequency of appearance of the variables contained within variable G, variable observations. So for variable G, no appeared 9 times and 11 times yes appeared. So there were 9 no's and 11 yeses. And as a percentage, that means no appeared 45% of the time and yes appeared 55% of the time. And if you were to sum those together, you would come to 100%. And if you were to sum these together, you would see that there were 20 total observations for variable G. Now, if we wanted to create a bar graph from one of our variables within the data set, we would choose Graphs, Bar Graph. And again, we want to be sure that the variable which we're interested in having a bar graph created for is selected. In this case, again, we're choosing variable G, which has a binary outcome, either yes or no. So we've already created a frequency table, but if we wanted to create a bar graph as it relates to these results, maybe we want to present our reader with both a graphical display as well as the summary, we would choose variable G and click OK. And here are those results displayed as a bar graph. And as you can see, no appeared 9 times. Our frequency is on the y-axis. And yes appeared 11 times for variable G. Here's variable G. And if we had other instances of occurrence, maybe there was maybe so was one of the responses, we would see that displayed along the x-axis with the frequency of its appearance on the y. So in a prior lecture, we discussed histogram and how to interpret a histogram. Well, here's how to create a histogram in RCommander. We want to be sure that our data set has been appropriately imported and it's appropriately selected. From the graphs, then, we want to select histogram. We want to be sure that we're choosing an appropriate variable for our histogram. In this case, the variable which we're going to be selecting is variable C or VarC. Once that's been selected, we can just click OK. And there we have our histogram output. And if you needed, again, more information as to how this is to be interpreted, make sure you check out some of the previous videos in the playlist. Box plot, or as it's also referred to as a box and whiskers. If we wanted to endeavor on creating this particular graphic, we would select from our RCommander menu, Graphs, then Box Plot. We're interested only in variable C, so we choose VarC. We then click OK. And here is our graphical output. And remember how to first quartile, third quartile, median, lowest non-outlier value, highest non-outlier value. And in this case, looks like we have some outliers. So if we wanted to create a numerical summary, this is how we would perform that particular task. We would go to Statistics within the RCommander menu interface. We would select Summaries and Active Data Set. This will then, in our log, provide us with this output here. And this is a summary of each of the variables contained within the data set. So as you can see, we have the minimum value, which is the lowest value of observation for variable A. So the lowest value in variable A is 4. The highest is 100. Here's our first quartile value, our third quartile value, our mean value, and our median value. And in instances where we have non-outlier numerical observations, we're given a breakdown of the frequency. So now let's do another sort of numerical summary. So in this case, we're going to go to Statistics, Summaries, Numerical Summaries, and we're going to just choose one variable that we're interested in. We'll choose variable C, and we'll click OK. And this provides us with the mean, the standard deviation, the interquartile range, and then the various percentile. So percentile score will be discussed in a later video. But these are the various percentiles. And then the number of total observations is the N. So there were 20 total observations. This was the mean value, standard deviation, the interquartile range, and the value of the various percentiles. All right, so let's create some comparative summaries. In this case, same steps, statistics, summaries, numerical summaries. We're going to choose one variable, variable C, and then we're going to click Summarize by Groups. We're then going to pick another variable, variable G, and click OK here, and then OK again. All right. And what this allows you to do is if you have multiple categories across variables, this creates a comparative summary of the categories within one variable with their numerical values contained within the other variable. So if we were to, let's take a look at our data again here. If we were to look at our data and we were breaking down all of the corresponding values for variable C as designated by categories within variable G, whether it be yes or no, this is the outcome. So for example, for yes, we would take this value here in variable C, these values here, this value here, this value here. So these are all the corresponding numerical values for the category yes in variable G. And then for the category no, we have these values, those being 804, 804, 802, 802. So we have two categories as determined by variable G. And then we have the corresponding numeric values for variable C. So the mean of all the variable C values, which have a no for variable G, only those values, the mean is 803. For all the values in variable G which are yes, the mean for those values contained within variable C is 804. So we're comparing the values contained within variable G, the categorical values, and we're comparing the numeric values contained within variable C by those categories. Okay? So let's create a comparative box plot. So to create a comparative box plot, we again go to graphics, or excuse me, not graphics. We go to graphs, box plot. We're going to choose one variable, variable C, And then we're going to choose to plot by groups. And we're again going to do it by variable G. So make sure variable G is selected. After you click plot by groups, you'll get to this menu, click G, variable G, click OK, and then click OK again. As you can see, we're now plotting by variable G. And in this case, again, we have the numeric values contained within variable G, or excuse me, contained within variable C, as designated by the categories contained within variable G. So we have no and yes as our variable G values, and we're comparing the numeric values corresponding with the variable G values, yes and no. So we're using these as our categories, and then we're comparing the numeric values contained therein. And remember, these are histograms. Or excuse me, these are not histograms. These are box and whiskers, and we're comparing them appropriately. So if you need more information as to how to break down a box and whisker, make sure you take a look at that previous video. Next, we come to cross-sectional tables. So to create a cross-sectional table, we're going to go to Statistics, Contingency Table, Two-Way Table. And our row variables are going to be variable E, and our column variables are going to be variable G. We then click on the Statistics tab, and we're interested in row percentages. And if you need more of a foundational understanding as it pertains to row percentage versus column percentage, make sure you check out Introduction to Statistics, playlist, Introduction to Test Specificity, Histogram, Odds Ratio, and Contingency Tables. We go into the whole row percentage versus column percentage. This is the code that is created. This is what's working in our studio in the background if you're interested, but you don't really need to concern yourself with this. This is all done for you. But in any event, the outcome of clicking OK here is you have this as your output in your RCommander, or excuse me, in your RStudio console log. And in this case, we have the frequency of VarG as determined by VarE. So each of these are categorical variables. So for category BMW, how many yeses and nos were there? Let's take a look at that. So what we have here is we have the category VarE, which is BMW. So for every time BMW appeared, how many times did yes appear and how many times did no appear? Well, let's take a look. BMW, yes. So that's one yes. Down, 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 down. Looking. BMW, no. One no. One yes, one no. Chevy, one yes, but there's only one Chevy here. So one yes, no nos. And that's what is being displayed here. So we have category by category. And here are the row percentages. How many times percentage-wise, did yes appear? It appeared 50% of the time was no, 50% was yes. Okay? Because it appeared once and once. So it was a total of 2. 1 divided by 2 is 50%. 1 divided by 2 is 50%. 50%, 50%. And again, take a look at the previous video in the playlist if you need help interpreting contingency table, row percentage, and column percentage. Let's do a cross-sectional table again. Statistics, contingency table, two-way tables. VarE by VarG. Statistics. We're interested in column percentage. Just ignore the chi-square. You can either uncheck this or leave it. We'll get into chi-square perhaps in a later video. But in any case, in this instance, we're more interested in column percentages. We have, again, BMW Yes 1, No 1, Chevy No 1, Yes, or No 0, Yes 1. And instead, we have column percentages as opposed to row percentages. So if you needed help interpreting this, just go ahead and take a look at Introduction to Statistics, video number 6. So I know that this was one of the longer videos, and I hope that we were able to pack it with substantive content for you. I appreciate you staying to the end. If you were able to gain some mastery from this content, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate you stopping by, and I appreciate you sticking with these concepts. With that, have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care.